I was rinsing a few seashells Lily had collected last weekend when my old iPhone buzzed on the counter. It was a voicemail, one I somehow missed at dawn. I wiped my hands and pressed play, and then I heard Megan's voice. Flat, mechanical, nothing like my daughter. "Mom, I need you to listen. The beach house is sold, and your car too. We're leaving tomorrow, pack your things." The seashell slipped from my fingers and shattered on the tile. For a moment, the whole kitchen fell silent except for the old fridge humming behind me. I replayed the voicemail 3 times, convinced my own ears were lying to me. Sold my home, my Camry, without a single word to me? But that voicemail was from the future, something I wasn't supposed to hear for another few months. Because right now, it was still spring, and I was still living in the warm, gentle lie that my family loved me the way I loved them. That morning had started the way all my Florida mornings did. I opened the back door to let the ocean breeze sweep through the small wooden house, the scent of salt settling on the curtains. My joints ached a little, but at 62 that felt normal, like an old friend showing up without knocking. I poured myself a cup of coffee and sat at the breakfast table, watching sunlight spill across the sand behind the house. The Toyota Camry I'd driven for more than a decade rested in the driveway. I used to drive Megan to school in that car. Some mornings she would beg me to roll the windows down just so she could smell the ocean. Those were gentler years. I picked up the tiny seashell Lily had given me last Sunday. My granddaughter was 7, bright as sunshine, and the only reason the house didn't feel too quiet. Megan had brought her for a short visit, and Lily ran along the beach until sunset, yelling that she wished she could stay forever. But Megan and Ryan were different, more distracted, always whispering about money, bills, interest rates, pressure, and some new job Ryan claimed he was close to getting. They barely talked to each other on that visit, and when they did, it ended in daggers thrown with their eyes. I told myself they were just tired young parents. That's what mothers do. We thread excuses around our children's mistakes until it looks like love. When I returned inside, I noticed something on the table, the stack of mail I hadn't opened yet. One envelope was thicker than the rest, my homeowner's insurance renewal. I sighed and set it aside. I'd handle it later. I always did, even if paperwork made me nervous. I didn't know yet that paperwork would be the thing that undid everything. Later that afternoon, as I watered the small flower pots by the porch, Maria, my neighbor and self-appointed comedian, yelled from across her yard, waving a Starbucks cup above her head. "Linda, your daughter called earlier. She said she couldn't reach you. Everything okay?" I laughed it off and said yes. But as I looked back through the kitchen window at my iPhone screen, that unheard voicemail notification blinked like a warning. A future already written, and me, still blissfully unaware. The next time Megan and Ryan visited, the air felt different, too polite, too careful, like people choosing their words before they spoke. It was late spring by then. The sun was warm but not yet burning, and I had just finished wiping sand off the porch steps when their car pulled into the driveway. Ryan walked in first, holding a plastic folder under his arm. Megan followed, smiling the kind of smile that didn't reach her eyes. Lily ran straight to me, arms wide, shouting "Grandma," as if she could erase every worry with that one hug. And for a moment, she did. After lunch, Ryan cleared his throat and placed the folder on the kitchen table. "Mom," he began, too formal, "there are a few documents we should review. Nothing urgent, just stuff to protect you, in case anything happens." When people say, "in case anything happens," they usually mean death. My heart pinched a little. I pulled out my reading glasses, old, scratched, and always sliding down my nose, and sat beside him. Megan stood behind me, fingers tightly interlocked. Ryan opened the folder. Pages and pages of fine print lay inside. My eyes blurred for a second. "These are just updates to the homeowner's insurance," he said casually. "And a couple things we can help manage for you. Paperwork gets complicated these days." Complicated was an understatement. The words felt like a maze, legal phrases, financial terms, lines with blanks, places for signatures. It made my head spin the same way tax season always did. In that heavy silence, a burst of laughter exploded from the living room. Lily ran in, wearing my oversized beach hat, dragging it across the floor like a tiny wizard cloak. "Grandma, I'm reading the papers for you," she announced, picking up a page and squinting dramatically. She mispronounced 3 words in a row, got authorization completely wrong, then looked offended when we all laughed. I kissed her forehead. "Sweetie, maybe Grandma should be the one reading these." "But Grandma," she said proudly, "I read so fast, faster than Mommy." Even Megan cracked a small, guilty smile. That silly moment, light as sea breeze, made everything feel less frightening. And that's exactly why I didn't think twice when Ryan slid the pen toward me. "Just sign here and here," he said gently. "We'll take care of the rest." I hesitated only once. "Are you sure this is okay?" "Absolutely," he replied. "It's just so we can help. You trust us, right?" Of course I trusted them. They were family, so I signed, one line, then another. Ryan quickly gathered the papers and tucked them back into the folder. "All done. Let's go get some ice cream before the sun sets." And that was it. To them, just another afternoon. To me, just another act of love. But as we walked out the door, I caught a glimpse of Megan in the hallway mirror. Her face pale, her hand trembling as she fixed her hair. The kind of trembling that didn't come from fear, but from guilt. The weeks after that visit drifted by quietly, the way Florida days often did. Warm mornings, soft evenings, and the ocean breathing in and out behind my house. I kept telling myself everything was normal, that the papers I signed were nothing more than updates, the way Ryan said. Still, something in my chest felt unsettled, like sand caught in a shell. One afternoon, I was trying to take pictures of the guest room to post online for short-term rentals. The roof had leaked after a small storm, and renting out the room would help me cover the repair. I held up my old iPhone, squinting one eye to get the angles right, but every photo looked crooked, dark, or blurry, as if the phone had been spinning in my hand. Maria, my neighbor, peeked through the open door. "What in the world are you doing, Linda? You look like you're taking mugshots of that poor lamp." I sighed. "I'm trying to make the room look inviting." Maria took the phone from me, snapped 2 pictures, and somehow the room suddenly looked like a vacation brochure. Then she handed the phone back and whispered, "You know, sometimes you scare me. You have eyesight like a confused raccoon." I couldn't help but laugh. A raccoon? Yeah. Cute, but extremely unreliable. Even in the middle of stress about bills and repairs, moments like that made the world feel a little less heavy. But the calls from Megan began increasing. She always sounded tired and guilty. "Mom, can you send a little extra this month? Just until Ryan starts his new job." "Mom, we're behind on daycare." "Mom, I swear we'll pay you back." Of course I sent what I could. Not much, just little pieces of my savings. But each time I transferred money, something inside me tightened. Megan never asked how I was doing. She never even asked whether my roof got fixed. One evening, Ryan called directly. His voice was rushed, too high, too rehearsed. "Mom, listen, great news. I'm about to invest in something big, big enough that we'll all breathe again. All of us. I'm using the authorization you signed so things will move faster. But don't worry, you won't have to lift a finger." I froze. My heart pounded loud enough to hear it. "Authorization? Or what exactly?" "Oh, you know, small things," he said lightly. "Nothing dangerous, just trust me." Trust, that word, coming from someone who couldn't even hold a job for more than a season, felt strangely sharp. After the call, I sat on the porch steps, watching the sunset smear orange across the horizon. My Toyota Camry sat in the driveway, quiet and old, the same way my life felt. The breeze pushed my hair back, and for a moment, I remembered driving little Megan to school, her tiny feet kicking the seat, her voice singing along to children's songs. How did we get here? When did she stop leaning on me and start leaning away? As the sky darkened, a soft panic crept into my bones. Something was happening behind my back, something bigger than overdue bills or a delayed paycheck. But I still didn't know the shape of it, only that a storm was coming, and I was standing right on the shore. The summer storms arrived earlier than usual that year. Florida always had a way of surprising us, but that week, the wind rattled my windows hard enough that I pulled out extra towels to block the draft. I was folding laundry when my phone buzzed with another call from an unknown number. Normally, I let unknown numbers go to voicemail, but something nudged me, so I answered. "Mrs. Harris? This is Dale, the home repair guy your daughter contacted. I'm just confirming Tuesday, roof inspection and appraisal before the property transfer." I froze so hard the towel slipped from my hands, Property transfer? I asked slowly. Yes, ma'am. Your daughter said the house might be changing hands soon. Just routine checks before any sale. Sale. The word jerked through me like cold water. I tried to ask more questions, but the man apologized and said he was on a ladder and had bad reception, then hung up. I stood there staring at my phone, feeling the room shrink around me. Why would Megan arrange a roof inspection if nothing was wrong? Why use the word transfer? My heartbeat thudded all the way into my throat. I needed clarity. So I called Megan. She didn't answer. Then I called again and again, straight to voicemail. I knew she was screening my calls. Megan never missed her phone unless she intentionally avoided something. That realization made my stomach twist. Trying to calm myself, I decided to distract my mind by cooking. I took out a bag of rice from the pantry, except it wasn't rice. It was Lily's glitter slime kit she had shoved into the bag last visit. When I poured it out into the pot, the mixture splattered in a pink, sticky mess. I blinked at the goo. Maria walked in through the back door. She never knocked and gasped. "Oh Lord, Linda, did you finally lose it? Are we cooking slime now?" I groaned. "I thought it was rice." Maria cackled so loudly the seagulls outside squawked back. "For the record," she said, wiping tears from her eyes, "if you start seasoning that thing, I'm calling somebody." Even I had to laugh. A desperate, shaky laugh, but still a laugh. For a few minutes the fear shrank, but that evening, the fear rushed back. Megan finally returned my call. Her voice was unusually bright, too bright. "Mom, I was busy. What's wrong?" I swallowed. "A man called about a roof inspection. He said something about a property transfer." "Why?" "Oh, that. Ryan's just trying to help you organize everything. Don't worry about it." "Megan," I said quietly, "are you selling my house?" Silence. A long, cavernous silence. Then she forced a laugh. "Mom, don't be dramatic. We're just making sure things are safe. You signed the authorization." There it was again, that word. Authorization. The same word Ryan used, the same word I didn't truly understand. After the call ended, I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at my hands. They were shaking slightly. Not from age, but from something deeper, something like betrayal, something like dread. A storm cracked open outside, lightning spilling across the sky. The house trembled with each thunderclap. For the first time since my husband died, I felt genuinely unsafe in my own home. Not because of the storm outside, but because of the storm quietly building inside my family. And I sensed, without knowing how, that the storm hadn't even truly begun. 2 days after the roof inspector's call, I woke up earlier than usual. The storm had passed, but something heavier than weather lingered in the house. I brewed coffee and tried to steady my breathing, but my hands trembled as I lifted the mug. I wasn't imagining things. Something was happening behind my back. And the world was about to confirm it. Around 9 o'clock, a white sedan pulled into my driveway. A man climbed out with a leather folder and a smile too polished to be sincere. "Mrs. Harris, I'm with Suncoast Realty," he said. "I'm here to finalize pre-sale checks before the handover." Handover. The room swayed for a second. "I'm not selling my home," I said, voice thin. He blinked politely. "Your representatives already approved the terms, your daughter and son-in-law. Everything's progressing smoothly." Representatives. My daughter, my son-in-law. My knees weakened. "I didn't agree to any sale," I insisted, clenching the doorframe. The man flipped open his folder. There it was, my signature. Mine, but not mine. Dated the day I sat at the kitchen table with Ryan. The day Lily read the paperwork like a tiny lawyer in training. "I didn't understand what I was signing," I whispered. He gave the kind of shrug people use when they'd rather be anywhere else. "Well, ma'am, I'm not the legal side of things. I'm just here because tomorrow is the scheduled walkthrough with the buyers." Tomorrow. My world fell out from under me. He asked for a few photos of the house interior. I was too stunned to respond, so he stepped inside with his camera, moving from room to room. My instinct finally kicked in. I followed him like a shadow, blurting out warnings. "Don't step on that loose board. Please don't move those books. And that plant isn't dead. It's just thinking." The last line slipped out of my mouth accidentally. He stared at the wilted fern. I felt heat rush to my face. "Well, it takes after its owner," I muttered. He didn't laugh, but I heard Maria's voice through the open window. "Oh, good grief, Linda. Are you flirting with the realtor or fighting him?" The man nearly tripped over his own feet. Even in my panic, The absurdity of it made my lips twitch. When he finally left, I locked the door, leaned against it, and let my breath shake out of me. The house felt like it was slipping through my fingers, like sand I couldn't hold on to. I called Megan again, no answer. I texted, nothing. I tried Ryan, straight to voicemail. My heart pounded against my ribs. Were they really selling everything, without telling me? Using my own signature against me? By late afternoon, the fear grew unbearable. I grabbed my purse, got into my Camry, and drove to their house in Orlando, my old car rattling like it was nervous for me. When I arrived, the blinds were half open, moving boxes stacked in the hallway, tape rolls on the floor, clothing tossed in piles. It looked like a family preparing for a trip, or an escape. And when Megan opened the door, her face said everything before her mouth did. "Mom, we need to talk." Megan opened the door only halfway, like she was unsure whether to let me in or keep me outside. Her eyes were puffy, and she kept brushing her hair behind her ear, a habit she had since childhood every time she was nervous. "Mom," she said again, softer this time, "please come in." I stepped inside. The living room was a maze of cardboard boxes, packing tape, stuffed trash bags, and half-folded clothes. Lily's toys were scattered on the floor, some in boxes, some on the couch, one oddly lodged inside a cereal bowl. The chaos felt loud, even though the room was silent. Ryan walked in from the hallway, wiping sweat off his forehead like he'd been lifting boxes. "Oh, hi, Mom," he said, his voice flat. No apology, no explanation. I didn't sit. "Why is a realtor at my house? Why is someone scheduling a walkthrough? Why did a contractor call me about a property transfer?" Megan bit her lip. Ryan didn't. "We told you," he said calmly. "It's all part of the plan. We're selling the house because it's the smart thing to do. You can't maintain it forever." My voice cracked. "It's my home. My home. And it's your family's future," Ryan shot back. "You want Lily to struggle? You want Megan to drown in bills?" I looked at my daughter. Her eyes darted toward the floor. "Megan?" I whispered. "Is this what you want? Truly?" She didn't answer. Tears welled up, but she didn't let them spill. Instead, she reached for one of the packed boxes like she needed to busy her hands. Lily suddenly appeared from behind the couch, her hair messy, her shirt inside out. "Grandma," she squealed, running to me. "Look, I packed my socks all by myself." She proudly held up a box labeled kitchen. I blinked. "Sweetheart, those are not kitchen things." Ryan groaned. "Lily, we talked about this. I like boxes with writing," she insisted. "It feels official." Despite the ache in my chest, I felt a tiny laugh escape me. A weak, trembling laugh, but real. Lily always had a way of cracking light into the darkest rooms. But the moment passed quickly. Ryan crossed his arms. "Look, everything is already in motion. The buyers love the place. They're ready to close immediately. And we've arranged a new apartment for all of us. You'll have your own room. It's simpler." My breath caught. "For all of us? You expect me to move with you?" "Of course," he said, as if it were obvious. "We're your family. We'll take care of you. We'll handle your finances. You don't need the burden of managing things anymore." Burden. The word landed like a blow. I turned to Megan again. "Is that what I am to you? A burden you need to manage?" Her lips trembled. For a moment, I thought she would finally speak. But Ryan stepped between us. "You signed the authorization," he repeated. "This is done." Something inside me, something small, tired and fragile, broke. I walked toward the door, my legs stiff, my heart heavy. Lily followed, tugging at my sleeve. "Grandma, are we really moving tomorrow? Will your seashells come too?" I knelt down, hugged her tight, and kissed her head. "I don't know yet, baby," I whispered. "I don't know anything right now." I left the house with my chest burning, my hands cold, and my mind spinning. Behind me, I heard Megan's voice crack once, just once, before Ryan slammed the door shut. That night, I drove back toward the coast with the windows down, letting the warm wind wash over my face. The highway lights blurred through my tears. My Camry rattled the whole way, the old engine coughing every time I pressed the gas, almost like it was crying with me. When I reached my street, I didn't drive up to my house. I couldn't. Not after hearing the realtor say handover and Ryan say, "This is done." Instead, I sat at the edge of the neighborhood park for a long time, parked under a flickering lamppost. The engine clicked as it cooled and the cicadas hummed like a chorus of restless thoughts. Eventually, practicality forced me into motion. I couldn't stay in the car overnight, and I couldn't sleep in a house I was afraid would be taken from under me in the morning. So I checked into a weekly rental just outside town, a tiny, no-frills apartment above a laundromat. The hallway smelled faintly of detergent and someone's microwaved burrito. The room had one bed, one lamp, and one stubborn window that refused to close fully. When the wind blew, it made a soft wheezing sound like an old man telling a secret. I dropped my bag onto the bed and sat there, staring at the blank wall. It hit me then. Truly hit me. How alone I was. I'd spent years telling myself Megan was simply overwhelmed, that Ryan was trying, that families went through phases. But this wasn't a phase. This was abandonment, dressed up as responsibility. The next afternoon, Maria let herself into my house, as usual, and panicked when she didn't find me. She called 8 times before I finally answered. "Linda Harris, if you're dead, I swear I'll bring you back just to yell at you." "I'm not dead," I muttered. "Good, because I don't have the energy to haunt a ghost." 20 minutes later, she burst into the rental apartment with 2 plastic bags of groceries and a Starbucks cup sticking out of her purse. "Oh, honey," she said, looking around the sparse room. "Did you get kidnapped by a church basement?" I huffed a laugh despite myself. It was the cheapest weekly rate. "Well, your budget is safe. Your dignity, not so much." Maria plopped onto the squeaky chair and crossed her arms. "Okay, tell me everything. And don't you dare leave out the worst parts. I want the full telenovela." So I did. I told her about the realtor, about Megan's silence, about Ryan's insistence that I was a burden, about Lily packing her socks in a kitchen box. When I finished, Maria looked at me with a seriousness I rarely saw. "You need help, Linda. Not emotional help, legal help." "I don't want to drag my family into court," I whispered. "Honey," she said, touching my hand gently, "they already dragged you." Her words settled deep inside me. Not angry, not loud, just true. Then she stood up, smoothed her shirt, and grabbed her keys. "Come on, there's a community center 2 blocks away. They have a guy who helps seniors with paperwork. If he's still alive, he'll know what to do." I blinked. "Still alive?" She shrugged. "He's seasoned." And somehow that ridiculous comment, delivered in her dramatic whisper, made me smile for the first time in days. I didn't know it yet, but that walk to the community center would change everything. The community center sat behind a small church, the kind with faded posters taped to the windows, and a parking lot full of sunburned cars. As we walked up the ramp, Maria whispered like she was sharing top-secret intel. "Listen, if Jack still works here, don't mention cats. He lost one in 2008 and never recovered emotionally." I blinked. "Maria, why would I bring up cats?" "You never know with you," she said. "You get nervous and start talking about random things. Last week you told the mailman you liked his elbows." "I did not." "You absolutely did." Despite everything, I laughed. Quiet, shaky, but real. Inside, the community center smelled faintly of coffee and old carpet. Flyers covered the bulletin board. Yoga for seniors, free blood pressure checks, a potluck that promised mystery casseroles. A small door in the back read, "Financial and legal guidance, Tuesdays and Thursdays." Maria knocked, didn't wait for an answer, and pushed me inside. Jack looked up from a stack of papers. He was in his mid-50s, with reading glasses perched at the tip of his nose and a tie that had given up on life around noon. He smiled politely. "Can I help you, ladies?" Maria jabbed a thumb at me. "She's being robbed." I hissed at her. "Maria?" "What, that's the short version," she said. Jack motioned for us to sit. "Let's start from the beginning." So I told him. Everything, the papers I signed, the contractor call, the realtor showing up, the authorization Ryan kept repeating. The way Megan refused to answer my questions. My voice wavered, but I kept going. Jack didn't interrupt. He read every document I brought, the blurry copies, the insurance letter, the text messages, even the voicemail I finally played out loud. When Ryan's voice echoed from my phone, "She won't even know what hit her." Maria quietly muttered, "I hope karma hits him first," loud enough for Jack to hear. He smirked. After a long silence, Jack leaned back in his chair. "Mrs. Harris, you didn't sign simple insurance updates. You signed a broad power of attorney. Extremely broad. It allows them to act on your behalf in almost anything. Selling property, transferring titles, taking loans." My stomach dropped. I didn't know. I trusted them. "I understand," he said gently. "But trust doesn't erase legal consequences." The good news is, this kind of authorization can be challenged, especially if you weren't properly informed. Maria nodded vigorously. See, I told you. Robbed. Jack ignored her dramatics and continued. We'll need to act quickly. The house sale looks nearly final, but not completely. If we intervene now, we can freeze it. But you'll need a lawyer. I don't have money for a lawyer, I whispered. Jack shook his head. You won't need it. There's legal aid for seniors in cases of possible exploitation. I can call someone. Carter. He's good. He's direct. Maria added, direct is fine. We don't need poetic today. Jack made a few calls, scribbled instructions, and handed me a folder. Follow this. Don't sign anything else, and don't talk to your son-in-law without someone there. As we left, Maria whispered, see? Easy. Like baking cookies. If cookies involved legal threats. For the first time in weeks, a fragile thread of hope pulled tight inside me. Not confidence. Not victory. Just possibility. And sometimes possibility is enough to keep a person standing. Carter scheduled the hearing faster than I expected. 2 weeks after meeting Jack, I found myself standing in the lobby of the county courthouse, clutching my old iPhone and a folder that felt heavier than any suitcase I had ever carried. The courthouse smelled faintly of lemon cleaner and nerves. People in suits rushed past, heels clicking, papers shuffling. I felt small, like a schoolgirl waiting outside the principal's office. Carter found me before I found him. He was a tall man with silver hair, sharp glasses, and the expression of someone who had seen every human excuse on earth and was unimpressed by 99% of them. Mrs. Harris, he greeted. You ready? No, I said honestly. He nodded. Good. That means you understand what's at stake. We stepped into the courtroom. Megan and Ryan were already there. Megan sat hunched, twisting a tissue in her hands until it nearly tore apart. Her eyes were red. She looked smaller than I remembered, like all her confidence had leaked out. Ryan, however, sat upright, legs crossed, chatting with his lawyer as if this were a minor inconvenience. He barely glanced at me. Carter leaned toward me. Let him act confident. It will help us. When the hearing began, everything suddenly felt too bright. The fluorescent lights, the polished wood, the judge's sharp gaze. My heart thudded like it was trying to escape. Ryan's lawyer spoke first, insisting that Ryan acted in the best interest of the family, that I had declining judgment, and that the power of attorney was necessary to protect her assets. My face burned. Declining judgment? I still remembered every birthday, every bill, every emergency room visit of my entire life. Carter stood. Your Honor, we'll keep this simple. He clicked a button on a small speaker connected to my iPhone. Ryan's voice filled the courtroom. Once we sell the beach house, we'll be out of this mess. She won't even know what hit her. A gasp rippled through the room. Megan closed her eyes as if the words physically struck her. Ryan's lawyer froze. Even the judge leaned back, eyebrows raised. Carter continued calmly. Mrs. Harris signed documents without proper explanation. She was misled, and Mr. Lawson, he nodded toward Ryan, bragged about it. Ryan shot to his feet. I didn't mean that was taken out of context. The judge held up a hand. Sit. Then Carter presented the text messages, the paperwork inconsistencies, the signature dates, and the roof inspection arranged without my knowledge. Finally, he gestured toward me. Mrs. Harris, would you like to speak? I stood. My knees shook so hard I almost sat back down. But then my phone, inside my purse, buzzed loudly with a ringtone Maria had set for herself, a ridiculous chicken cluck. The entire courtroom glanced over. My face turned red, but the judge chuckled under his breath. Take your time, Mrs. Harris. And somehow, that tiny absurd moment loosened the knot in my chest. I trusted my family, I said quietly. I didn't expect perfection. I didn't expect money. I only expected honesty. And instead, everything I built, everything my husband and I worked for, was taken without a conversation. Megan finally broke. Mom, I'm so sorry. She sobbed openly, shoulders shaking, the tissue finally tearing in half. Ryan glared at her. Don't say anything. But the judge slammed the gavel lightly. I've heard enough. He ruled to freeze the sale, invalidate the power of attorney, and open an investigation into potential exploitation of an elderly person. Ryan's face went white. Megan covered her mouth. Carter nodded once, satisfied. As court security approached Ryan for questioning, he muttered under his breath, This is ridiculous. Carter leaned toward me. Justice rarely feels ridiculous, Mrs. Harris, but it does feel good. And for the first time in months, I believed him. Winter came slowly to Florida, cool mornings, soft breezes, and evenings where the sky faded into pale pink. Months had passed since the hearing, and life settled into something quieter, something smaller but gentler. The house sale was fully reversed, the power of attorney was nullified, and the investigation into financial exploitation moved forward. I didn't know the final outcome yet, but for once, the future didn't terrify me. Justice had momentum now, momentum that didn't depend on my fear. I didn't keep every part of the property. To resolve some of the damage Ryan caused, I agreed to sell a small slice of the backyard lot, the part I rarely used anyway. It was enough to cover the debts without losing the home itself. My home. Still mine. Still standing. The first morning I returned for good, I opened all the windows and let the ocean air flood the rooms. The curtains swayed like they were greeting me after a long trip. Maria barged in as usual, holding a Starbucks cup and a plastic container. "I baked you muffins," she announced. I peeked inside. "Maria, these are still from the grocery store." "I bought you muffins," she corrected. Same emotional effect. We sat on the porch together while she gave me updates about her cat allergies and the church potluck. Her presence filled the house with noise and warmth, exactly the opposite of the silence I had drowned in months before. Megan and I, we weren't magically healed, but we were trying. She came by every Sunday with Lily, always hesitant, always holding something, flowers, lunch, a small apology in physical form. She never stayed long at first. One afternoon she lingered. She twisted the strap of her purse the way she used to twist tissues in court. "Mom," she began softly, "I'm not asking you to forget. I want to earn my way back, even if it takes years." I looked at her. Not the daughter who betrayed me, but the daughter who had once collected seashells with me, who wrote, "I love you, Mommy," on construction paper, who now stood before me shaking in fear of losing me forever. "Then come sit," I said. "Let's start with today. We'll figure out the rest tomorrow." She cried, quietly. I held her hand, gently. Later, Lily ran toward me with a bucket of shells she'd collected herself. "Grandma, look, I got ones with holes so you can make a necklace." I smiled. "Sweetheart, you know I can't make jewelry." "That's okay," she said confidently. "I already told Mommy she would learn from YouTube for you." Megan groaned. "Did she really?" "Oh yes," I said, laughing. "Apparently we're starting a family jewelry business." For the first time in a long time, all three of us laughed. Not because everything was perfect, but because we were finally standing on truth. As the sun lowered, I walked down to the shore. The sand was cool, the waves gentle, like the world itself was exhaling beside me. I closed my eyes and whispered to my husband's memory. I didn't just save the house, I saved myself. Behind me, Lily's laughter scattered across the sand. And for the first time since everything fell apart, I felt not just safe, but whole. The mornings felt different after everything settled. Not dramatic, not triumphant, just steadier, like the ground finally stopped shifting beneath my feet. I woke up one day in early spring, sunlight slipping through the curtains, the ocean murmuring outside, and realized I wasn't afraid anymore. My home, my peace, my voice, they were all still here. And so was I. I brewed coffee in the small kitchen, the same old machine sputtering like it always had. When I stepped outside to the porch, the cool sand brushed my feet, and the breeze smelled like salt and possibility. Maria wandered over a few minutes later, holding her Starbucks cup and wearing mismatched sandals. "I brought emotional support caffeine," she said, handing it to me. "You brought the wrong size," I pointed out. She shrugged. "Well, emotionally I guessed wrong." We sat together listening to the waves, letting the silence say more than words could. Later that afternoon, Megan and Lily arrived. Megan walked slowly, holding a paper bag of groceries like it was some kind of peace offering. She wasn't forcing smiles anymore. Her face was sincere, tender, almost fragile as she approached. "Mom," she said softly, "can we start fresh? Little by little?" I nodded. Little by little sounds just right. Lily ran straight past both of us, barefoot on the sand, shouting something about building the biggest sand castle in Florida. She handed me a tiny shell shaped like a heart. "For you," she said proudly. I took it like it was made of glass. "It's perfect." Megan joined us on the sand, quietly helping her daughter dig a trench around the castle. For a moment, watching them together, I felt something warm loosen inside me. Not forgetting, not erasing, just healing. As the sun dipped low, the colors stretched across the water: orange, gold, soft lavender. I closed my eyes and breathed in deeply, the way my husband used to tell me when life felt heavy. And for the first time since the storm began, the future didn't feel like something closing in. It felt open, gentle, patient. I wasn't just surviving anymore, I was beginning again, slowly, honestly, and surrounded by the people willing to walk beside me, no matter how long it took.